Today, you leave nothing to chance. You give it everything that you have. And I have been asking you to be cold-blooded reptiles, to be ruthless, to show mad dog mentality. That is what champions are about.
Greetings, football lovers. We are back with another installment of the Yellow Corner, and this time we bring you the preview of our MTN8 Semifinal second leg as we host Kaizer Chiefs at Lucas Moripe Stadium on Saturday afternoon. Raps, how are you?
I'm good, Veron, and you?
No, man, I'm good, man. No complaints, man. Yeah, great win at Orlando yesterday, man. Eh?
Yeah, no, I think it was a great win for us, and we managed to collect 3 points, and we managed the game better second half, and we didn't let Orlando Pirates to great chances. So I think overall it was a good game for us.
Yeah, no. There's a reason I started this build up with that video that I started with, man, from the dressing room. Coach Hulan giving the pep talk just before the game started, man. There are a few things that I saw yesterday that made me so happy, man. almost 2 years ago, I tweeted, we need to learn the dark arts of football. And yesterday, I saw, as you can see by this tweet, now the boys have graduated from the dark arts of football, man. I was really happy with what I saw yesterday, man. We controlled them with the ball, we controlled without the ball, you know. So, you know, the one thing that I've always lamented, Kadi players, I've always felt they are a bit soft, you know. Sometimes when the situation dictated, they show a bit of devil in them. They didn't. They were good boys, you know. But yesterday they proved to me, they have that dog in them. They have that devil in them, and yeah, that made me happy, man. But apart from that, man, the tactical flexibility Coach Hulani, man, was on another level, man. Yesterday, the number of times we changed formations, man. I mean, before the game, me and you, when we saw the lineup, we thought, hey, this is a diamond. Chica will be at the tip, and the two strikers will be Ribeiro and Shalule. And it started like that. But as the game went on, he tweaked it here and there. You know, he brought on Tapelo, and he was the focal point of attack. But as they started using their flanks, he tweaked it again. He had double fullbacks, left in Abile, le Mudiba, right in Mudau, le Tapelo. So he just shut game, you know. So yeah, man, that was really outstanding, man. Rabs, before we start talking about Chiefs and so forth, there's something that I want us to talk about. I want us to talk about the human side. Yeah, Coach Hulani. Forget Hulani the coach, Hulani the person. Because when I was on a guest on Talking Buccaneers with Fumani to preview game Ronald Pirates, he asked me, departure of Steve, did it affect us now? And I mentioned, I think it affected us. We lost someone who is a father figure, you know. And then, press conference here, game Pirates, pre-press conference. Coach Hulani mentioned how the type of players that he works with. And I went back to the interviews from like a few interviews back. And in every press conference, Coach Hulani mentions how good the people he works with are. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's not the first time I've been saying that for a lot of times before. I think you also emphasize that it is important to coach human beings before you coach the players, because of the players have life outside football. So it's crucial for them to be better human beings before they are better people. And if it's like that, it becomes easy for you as a coach to coach them and to get the best out of them.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I think underestimated that strength of his, because that quality of his, because I think maybe I looked at it in a way your Coach Hulan is the same age as me, ne? And Steve is much older. Ne? So Steve has that Ntoya father figure. Ne? But looking back now, I've really come to realize Hulani has this quality, ne? And what helps him, what's on his favor again, is the fact that the age difference between LED players, it's not that huge, you know. So once again, he relates a lot with a lot of things that they go through, man. So, man, yeah, big ups to Coach Hulani, man. He spoke about, you know, there are qualities, Rapelangza, how le motho a sharp, ne? How much o mong a sharp a di etsa, it's easy for you to pick them up, you know. He mentioned Tabaya Marcelo ka post-match press conference ya game ya Pirates. Or Marcelo went and shook all the boys, the hands of all the boys that play for DDC, because they were training at Klokop, and took off his head. And a lot of people, they overlook that. But because when you're a person who has a genuinely good heart, you pick this up or no, that's a very nice gesture, you know, what Marcelo is doing, you know. But yeah, moving on, Raps, getting into this build-up game here, Chiefs. Having watched them since the first leg of the semi-final, have you seen anything from them, Aaron? These guys can beat us, or they will pose a serious threat to us?
Oh, I think from what I've seen after the first leg, I don't think they have what it takes to beat Mamelodi Sundowns. I think for them to beat Mamelodi Sundowns, they have to dig deep and be brave and forget about what happened first leg. I think in order for you to win this game, you have to be less cautious and be brave. Rather lose a 3-0 with good performance than lose 1-0 with a poor performance. So I think at this stage, they know that the situation favors Mamelodi Sundowns, and for them to progress to the final, they have to dig deep, they have to fight, they have to get out of their comfort zone and play total different football in order to beat Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah, I know. I've watched them since the game that we played against them, and I'm not seeing anything that I'm not being overconfident or anything, but I'm not seeing anything from Chiefs that ends Hosan, you know. Like I would be really, really surprised if Chiefs knocks us out. I'm not saying it's impossible for them and not to knock us out. It can happen. Football is football. Anything can happen. We can get an early red card, and it gives them a huge advantage, you know. But barring an early red card, I do not see anything from that team. Because the other thing is, I can't even say Sundowns players might underestimate them, because that's not allowed at Sundowns. It's not going to happen at Sundowns. We have seen the technical team and the players, they take this game, every game seriously, man. So, yeah, you say Sundowns has a huge advantage. How precious was that away goal, man? Because Coach Mulivintek in the press conference here, this building up to this MTN8 semi-final, he says 1-1 key advantage for Bona. How precious was that away goal? Because I think that away goal was gold for us, man. I think they know whatever happens, they have to score at Moripe, and for them to score, they'll have to out attack us. And because you can't cover each and every inch of the field, when you attack, you obviously leave gaps behind. So I think it was, like I said, it was gold. And with regards to the comments, coach Nteki, Harry, 1-1, the advantage to one. I don't know, I think a 0-0 would have been a better result for them than 1-1. Your thoughts?
As a boy from Free State, I always want to defend Nteki, but after that comment he made, like he left me in an awkward position where I can't even defend him because of advantage is wrong. Like advantage is wrong. I think if he elaborated, even if he did, but there's no other better elaboration that would maybe convince us that they have the advantage, man. I think maybe because of, I think maybe he wanted to shift the pressure from either side. I think he wanted his players to change the players' mindset and to believe that they can win. I think from that side, I think it was an okay statement. But other than that, I think, man, I should have said something better, man.
Yeah, still on Coach Nteki, man. We saw ugly scenes at the end of their game against Super Sports where they lost 1-0, man. How much pressure are they as a team going into this game against Sundowns? Because I think, one, he as a coach alone, he's under tremendous pressure. He has to get his lineup correct. That's the first thing. He has to get the tactics correct. And then he needs to convince these guys who they can beat Sundowns, which is, yeah, it will take a lot of convincing, So, and then when you look at the players in terms of pressure, they go into this game with what happened at the end of the game when I was Super Sport at the back of their heads, and they do not want to make mistakes in this match. And the more you try not to make the mistake, that's where you will make a lot of mistakes. Your thoughts?
I think Nteki at this moment is in a tough position because of after what happened go Polokwane, and you have to go back to Naturena and plan for the game. I think somehow it affects the preparation to the game because of what happened go Polokwane. I think it put a lot of pressure to him and the team. So hence I'm saying I think it will affect the preparation going to this second leg. And besides what happened in Polokwane, I think the last time Chiefs were in a cup final, it was in 2021 season where they were in a CAF Champions League final, and the last time they were in a domestic final, it was in Nedbank when they lost to Galaxy. So it shows that they haven't been in a final for a while. And knowing their situation right now, for them to win league, it is impossible. The only way they can win something, it is through the domestic cups. And like it's tough for him, man. It's tough. So I think, like I've said, this game will require him to get out of the comfort zone and play different. Whether you lose 5-0, it's fine, but get out of the comfort zone. I think that is more important than any other thing in this fixture for him.
I can tell you now, Chiefs fans are not taking a 5-0 drubbing from us. Stadium,
but okay.
I get what you're saying. You basically say, show who you trying, lose having tried, but hey, man,
as much as fans don't want to lose with that big scoreline, but football fans understand football, and they want their team, as big as Chief it is, they want their team to play like a big team, and you have to play like a big team. So I think for them, rather lose 3-0 with a better performance than lose 1-0 with a poor performance. Because of losing 1-0, it can fool you yeah, no, we played better. Sundowns didn't score too many goals. So hence I'm saying rather lose 3-0 with a good performance because of it's better than losing 1-0 with a poor performance because of it can fool a lot of fans.
Are you taking a swipe at the other fan base from Soweto who are celebrating the fact that in the second half they showed a character? I saw a certain broadcasting into that was covering the game. Their studio panel mentioning that team had 10 touches in our box in the second half, whereas they had 0 in the first half, and that was a big thing for them. And I'm like, yeah, no, if we're celebrating such things, there's still a long way to go for some of these teams, man. But yeah, did you see what Chiefs did this morning on Thursday? So I get they knew the fan base
Oh,
bakwatile, and then they announced Mteto at 7 a.m. And you can tell it was rushed to announcement here because it was a proper PR job. Chiefs, we know it to be that team branding and marketing to be on the ball. I can tell you now, they were when I announced it proper, they want more, but they were gonna announce it properly during the course of the day, not that early. So yeah, ba fodisa maqeba baba brusha baba brusha nje, hey. Rams, will they approach this game the same way they did then to the first leg? Yes, we've touched a bit on that. You've said rather lose fighting, showing bravery, but uh, forget your how you would do it. How do you think they will do it?
I think you won't see anything different uh, compared to how they approached the first leg. I think they don't want to first of all. I think they don't want to concede an early goal. They want to stay in the match as far as possible. Maybe go into the interval without conceding. Then maybe second half try to push a lot of numbers and try to look for a goal. And I think for Chiefs, if you look into the history of Mamelodi Sundowns, let me not go far. If you look at what happened last season, where Sundowns, I think they failed to get positive results in both of second legs, go CAF Champions League and go MTN8. I think as much as it is a different season, but if you have a look into that, I think Chiefs could try and approach the game differently based on how Sundowns failed to win their second legs in the MTN8 and in the CAF Champions League. But I don't think there will be anything different from Take. I think he will try to be as compact. I think that is his number one rule. I should say, player try to be compact and try not to open spaces. But in a game of football, as much as you want to be compact, but some situations they forces you to be open, and Santos capitalize on that. So I think Chiefs approach will be what happened in the first leg. I think we won't see anything different.
Our first leg on Hopota Peter at halftime as he was walking out, I think, to the bathrooms. All right, guys, this is not football. Because no, they were not playing football, but in the first leg. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I share the same sentiments as you. I think they will approach it the same way they approached the first leg. I think they will just sit back and Achansi, sporadically they will try and hit us, but the plan will be to sit back, keep it nil-nil, and then maybe from last 15 minutes try attacking in numbers, try going at Sundowns. But the danger with this is that Sundowns, if a score the first goal, say first half or early first half, now you're panicking, or if they score another one, we now have to score 2 goals. And my man, Sundowns is very stingy with the goals. They are not just stingy with the goals, they are stingy with the chances. Forget before you get to goals, you need to create chances, and they are stingy with those. So it's really gonna be tough for Chiefs, And the thing at Chiefs, man, if Negele supporter they wouldn't give me confidence because I keep wanting the pattern. I'm not seeing the plan, and Timmy Trading, Sundowns, they will do something, they will do it over and over again. You know how Sundowns approaches the game, you know what they will most likely do in the games, the patterns of play, it's so for Chiefs, man, it's and how do we approach how should we as Sundowns approach this game, perhaps?
I think first of all we need to play the second leg, not play the aggregate scoreline. Yes, we have the advantage, but the second leg it's 0-0. So for us, we have to win the second leg. That is mostly important because of sometimes you don't want the player to be complacent and be relaxed because of sometimes this result or the advantage that we have. Sometimes the players tend to relax a little bit, but as we know, Rulani, we don't encourage that. We encourage the boys to go all out and win. I think for us, our build-up phase, I think I expect us to build up with ease. The reason why I'm saying that is because of I don't expect Chiefs pushing high and putting that pressure in our defense. So I'm expecting us to have a smooth build-up and try to progress with the ball a little bit better. And because of Chiefs, will have a lot of numbers in their own half. I think there will be a lot of traffic and congestion inside the box, inside the half of Kaizer Chiefs, because of also us will be looking to attack. So I think it will be important to have a good passing accuracy and a good movement in order to create a space for us to move forward with the ball. And with what happened against a Super Sport, how they considered that goal early in the minute. You look at where Musimango was when they considered that goal. I think he was out of position and was nowhere near the box. And as a centre back, you have to be close to your partner, and he was far from the clock. And you look at Super Sport, they had two centre forward in that box, which was Zukamanja and Bretli Khobla. So I think in that game that we are going to play, I think we should target Simango, try to drag him out of his position so that Bitloko is isolated in that position. And also, there was a mistake that Kune made where he was passed a back pass and he panicked, and Supersport almost scored from that. And also, Kune not having enough game time, it shows that he's very rusty. So I'm expecting Shalulile, Ribeiro, or Mshesh, or whoever is going to start. Once Chiefs have the ball at the back, you put a lot of pressure. You force them to kick it forward, and we have the possession back. And also, Kuneman is no longer.
Guys, wait. Why are you talking about Itumeleng Khune? Do you seriously think they're going to start Itumeleng Khune on Saturday?
I think I had one of the guys from Supersport saying Peterson Uko Cape Town because of a family crisis. So I think he might not be available. I don't know what's that family crisis that's happening in his family down in Cape Town. So I think they will start Khune. I think he's their number 2 goalkeeper.
Yeah. Oh, I missed that. I didn't know that.
And so far, he has been their best player both in the league and MTN8.
I mean, if they start Khune, they're in trouble, man. They catching serious hands, man. If they start E2, man. I didn't know that, man. But yeah, now I would like to see us start with a lot of intensity. We've played Chiefs twice this season already, and there were a lot of differences when you look at the two games. In the Premier League, we started the intensity, the level was high. We were going at them, creating chance after chance. It's just that we couldn't score, in that game, and we use width perfectly, which is something I thought we would do. That game here, yeah, MTN8, the first leg. I thought FNB being that wide, would use a width, but instead Mudiba was inside. Neoliana came inside. So there's a whole stretch, like stretch them. As you stretch them and they leave into the possessions, you use the central space because they'll be out of possession sometimes, So I thought we would do that, but I would like us to play the way we played the league game, but be more clinical. Because honestly speaking, we should have absolutely buried them in that game, And I think Kamo writing, I think they will play Quiniga. He's shown to favor Quiniga than Kanakimang Mfano Frosla. And I think Kamo lefting, they are very weak in terms of defense. I do not rate Clantin Fetu. I am sorry, I do not rate that guy at all. I think we can get a lot from that side. Yeah, Hanti, man. We're going to be missing two key players in Mvala and Mudau. How big a loss do you think both are for us? But from my side, I don't think it really is a train smash. I mean, Sundowns, man, there's quality everywhere, man. You won't even notice these key players are missing. Your side?
First of all, I'm not happy with Mvala being suspended, man. I think we need to look at the yellow cards that Mvala gets, man. Firstly, the one that you got when we played Kaizer Chiefs in the first leg at FNB, where it was Anamatade Dupree. You have a pace to recover, and we know that.
Sorry, Raps. I think you mistaken. You said Mvala instead of Modau, ne?
Modau, yes. Yeah. I think he gets yellow card in situation where he could have avoided being a yellow card. As I was speaking about that game here, Kaizer Chiefs in the first leg, as was running with Dupree, man. We know that for a fact that Dupree wasn't gonna outpace him, and Vala, we know that 1v1 normally handles that very well, and he was using his hands, and the referee booked him, and I think it was a fair yellow card against Pirates. The situation didn't allow him to foul Kapinga. He showed his stats, man, and for a player that has a pace and that has a lot of recoveries in terms of winning the ball back, he gets a lot of yellow cards from that. I expect AB in that side to not a lot of yellow cards because of he doesn't have the pace and his recovery is not as good as Yakuli. So I think Kulisa has to do much better in that aspect, man. This player, they can outpace him, and he has a good recovery rate. Like, there's no need to even foul most of these wingers that Kuliso fouls. So I think at some stage, I don't wish it could happen, but I hope that it doesn't cost us in certain games going forward.
Oh, what is it?
One team, and two.
No, but I get you, man. Kuliso, some of the things that he does, there's no need, man. He was clearly winning that ball, so there was no need to use your hands, showing the stats. There was no need for that, man. Nto was actually facing the bar line, now. Kapinga. So there was no need for him to do that, man. Raps, before we go into the lineups, is there anything that you'd like to touch on, guys, this game?
Now, I think we have covered most of the things.
Okay. Oh, another thing this team won't beat us, it can't beat us, is that they have a player in midfield. You can't go into a game against Sundowns, get the players to celebrate them when they've shiboboed someone, man. Hey? Like a professional player and someone to spite about celebrate that. Have a serious team, man. Well, this is my lineup, Yabon, and you highlighted Tabaya Peterson in terms of family situation. So we don't know Horwetz Alamo. Yeah, it's a tricky one. So I'd leave goalkeeper out. I think they will start Kakuinika, and then they'll have Msimamo, and then Tlokwe, and then Khanti on the left. In the middle field three, they'll have Castillo, Matt, Limaklo. I think he started Matloka game Super Sport. He got minutes. He's getting a lot of minutes, so maybe he trusts him. And I think they will use Modi Saileli Dupré. Do you agree or disagree?
I think if I was the Kaizer Chiefs coach, I would go with the front player, Kimang Saile, Gonzalez, and Kimang Dupré up front.
Gonzalez number 14.
Yeah.
What danger is he gonna pose to Sundowns?
I think with the type of goals Chiefs scored against us in the league and in the first leg, going wide and getting those crosses and scoring from crosses, I think from that, I think maybe might be a threat.
Okay, fair enough. Now, actually, think they'll be playing on transition, so they'd have the quickest three players. So that as soon as they win the ball, they play it to the wide spaces and beat us pace. But man, with Sundowns Raps, I no longer know what lineup to go with when it comes to Sundowns because Coach Mulani from nowhere, Diamond, and like we said, he changed it a lot. So I do not know, man. But I will go Diamond again with Williams. I'll have Kekana at right back, and then Riva Lemosa and then AB at left back, and then have Mokwena and Allende Mbule in front of him, and then Shika and then Ribeiro. Le Shaluli up top. You?
I'll play a 3-3-4. At the back, I'll have Grant, Lebusa, and AB. Then in the middle, I'll have Mbule, Mukwena, Aland. Then my front four, I'll have Nku, Ribeiro, Zwane, Shaluli.
Did you just leave out Rivaldo Kozie?
Yes, I think because of Chiefs, like what I've said already, they are going to have a lot of numbers in their box. So with Mbule and Mokwena, I think Mbule, because of he can progress with the ball and he can play in tight spaces. I think I would start Mbule. I'm not benching Rivaldo because of any other thing. Because of I think the half will be congested, and I think Mbule is the right person with in those situations.
Now when you start benching my favorite player, now I hear what you're saying. I know your reason is valid.
Okay. There's nothing to defend.
Stay defend. Raps, let's touch on something, a very controversial subject when it comes to Mamelodi Sundowns, man. Let's talk about Sundowns' loaning of players, man. Are they doing it the right way? Because I think not. When you loan it into a player, actually, what's the loan of the purpose of loaning player? For me, maybe to have him to get game time, to get experience, and to improve as a player. But now, when you have a situation where a player has been loaned out more than 3 times, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's clearly no chance of this player thing. It clearly doesn't have a future at the club. Ne? And then another thing that I do not understand, the loan conditions that Sundowns get a freezing, the contract when the player goes out on loan. So basically, the freezing of contract is if a player has a 3-year contract with you, ne, say he's at the club the first year, the second year of his contract, you loan him out. Ne, it counts as 2 years at the end of that season. But with Sundowns, they do not count the year where they've loaned you out, which doesn't make sense to me at all. You know, you see the loaning, when you loan players and they do not play against us, I get that because at times we're the ones who taking a huge chunk of his salary paying him. So I get that you can't pay someone and then he plays against you and then he hurts you, you know. So I do not get that. But at the same time, you have to play devil's advocate with this subject and say, are these players also to blame? Because maybe they don't want to be sold to other teams, because once he goes to Team B, the salary that he was getting at Sundowns, it goes down, so he misses out on a lot of money. So he knows, as when I'm on loan, I'm still getting salary at Sundowns. I know certain players who have done that in the past. They preferred going out on loan than being sold from Sundowns. So your thoughts on this?
I think first of all, we need to release a couple of players that are on loan, and some of these players, where they are loaned to, they don't even get game time, and so I don't see any purpose of still trying to loan them to other teams. And with the system that we are playing, even if you bring them back, it will be difficult for them to catch up because of the gap between them and the current squad. It is very big. So even if, for example, if you get an example like Promise Bukum, if you bring him back to the Sundowns team, he'll have to catch up, watch the team, be patient, and sometimes it is not what players want to do. Once players come back from loan, they want to play. So it will be difficult for them to even catch up. And the last time, I think we had a player who was on loan and returned back to the team, and he improved. I think then it was Tembazwan when he went to Mpumalanga Black Aces. I think he came on as a different player, and while he was still at Aces, he showed that he wanted to be part of the team, he wanted to be called back. So I think even these players like Coach, I think the money factor, I think, plays a huge role as well, because of we know that players wants to be paid well, and with Sundowns, we know that they pay these players very well. But in the long run, that decision might backfire and affect them, because of sometimes you have the opportunity to go to a smaller team and a decent salary, but play for a lot of seasons. But you decide to stay with Sundowns, and once the contract expires, you find that teams are no longer interested in you because of you didn't have enough game time to convince them that you can play for those teams.
True, man. I'm gonna mention some of the players that are currently on loan, and I want you to tell me, of all of them, who or how many do you think might have a future at Sundowns? You have Nicholas Lukubeni. He's 27 years old. He's at Cape Town Spurs. You have Igodaro. He's 22 years old. He's at SuperSport. You have Tabiso Kutumela. He's 30 years old at Cape Town City. You have Sianda Msani. He's 22 years old at Cape Town Spurs. You have Watenga. He's 28 years old, goalkeeper at Golden Arrows. And then there's Tabang Sibanyoni, 27 years old at Tuks in the first division. There's Pewa, who's 23 years old at Cape Town Spurs. Ricardo Goss, Super Sports, 29 years old. Promise Mkuma, 23, Tuks. Malebogo Mudise, 24 All Stars. Keletso might be added on that list because the transfer window is closing in the next a few days, I think 2 days. Of all these players, how many do you think have a future at Sundowns going forward?
I think maybe Pewa and Iga Dao. I think those are the two that I would say they have maybe a future ko Mamelodi Sundowns, but bo Msani, bo Molebogo, I think, man, it will be tough for them to have a future ko Mamelodi Sundowns. And also we need to look at the current players that we have in that position. I think it also makes it tough for them to have future ko Mamelodi Sundowns, so those players that are on loan.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think you got down because of the position that he plays. If he has the same type of season that he had at Cheaper, I think, yeah, he can, but yeah, man, there's an interesting thingy. What do I call this? I watched something interesting. Yeah, let me rephrase. I watched something interesting on YouTube from my favorite YouTube channel, Tifo Football. They actually, I think, in discussion with Coach Rulani to have him there because, yeah, no, the world is watching what Coach Rulani is doing. There's a video with regards to this loaning situation. It's a year old. It's ending the unfair loan market. So you guys, you can check it out. Yes, it's over a year old. They're talking about the new rules that came into play at the beginning of the 2022-23 season that will be adopted in by domestic associations in the next 3 years. So there are really interesting things that you can learn from it. They're talking about the new rule in terms of the minimum and the maximum loan period, where there won't be loan periods that are over 2 years. And I think when I look back to Lonia Goss, it's because initially it was said Goss loan here 2 years to Supersport, but I think at the end of that season, the last season, he came back to Sundowns and then he went. There's in terms of maximum number of players that you can loan to or from one club, the new rules, the maximum number of players that you can loan into your club and out per season, so and so forth. I mean, there are some crazy things that they mentioned there. I mean, I think as of January 2022, Atalanta had 64 players on loan. Inter had 48 players on loan. Genoa had 38 players on loan. So Solo had 45 players on loan. So clearly in Italy, it's crazy, man. I'll drop the link on the description. Really interesting thing that you can learn from, guys. And yeah, perhaps we forgot to do the predictions. Yes, this build-up has gone for way too long. It's almost 40 minutes now. Score predictions that Kaizer Chiefs.
I think we'll win 2-0.
Is it? Nothing would make me happier than a 0-0 score result. By its color, why did they play that? Whatever until they played a first leg, But I wouldn't mind seeing blood all over the place. I wouldn't mind a 5-0 score line. I wouldn't mind that at all, man. So yeah, I wouldn't mind this reptile alien Sundowns going in at Chiefs. Yeah, guys, thank you very much for the support. Please continue subscribing and helping us grow the content. We are trying our level best to improve the content every department there is to this, So yeah, we really appreciate the love that you guys are showing us, man. Please, let's give us your score predictions for Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah, it would really be nice to beat teams also way too. Yeah, next time you see us will be on Sunday. We'll try either Sunday or Monday as we preview our match against a very ill-disciplined Steli side, man. Until then, sharp Masandawana, sharp Mbugish.
Sharp football lovers, sharp Ezu.
Sharp everyone who watched.